for that one.
Because I hope that's not your normal phone voice.
Depends who I'm speaking to.
That's it. Oh, can I speak to Ronnie, please? Yes!
Is this a cartoon character?
Well, it depends. If it happens, if the person asking to speak to me sounds very official, I'll say yes. And if it sounds like a friend, I'll say hello. And if it sounds like someone who might actually want to talk to me, I'm like hello.
I think I found the last one more disturbing.
Yeah, well, you know,
Well,
at least
it may actually be a factor in the fact that I'm still single. But
well, hey, at least you leave no one guessing anything. You know, you convey adequately without any visual visual things to go on.
well, hello. You're live, shit.
Right.
Yes, all of that is recorded for all
Forever!
for all time and eternity.
There you go.
Yes.
Stick your two fingers up at posterity.
Any chance at all of this becoming a family-friendly playcast has just went completely out the fucking window.
It's fine. Any sexual deviation was implied, not explicitly stated, Ronnie. I think you got away with it.
True.
Yeah, use your imagination.
I'm all for sexual. We're not even going down that.
It's all in theatre of the mind, Ronnie. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
You guys remember Big, the Tom Hanks movie Big? It's like rated PG, but they drop the F-bomb twice in there, and then they have some kid like fondling a woman's breasts, only he's in the body of a man. But still, that's that was rated PG.
It was a bit disturbing.
Yeah, I remember one time they showed it at a tennis camp that I attended when I was younger, and the lady was just like, "Well, that's the last time I ever put on a PG movie here." At any rate, on that note, this is a Call of Cthulhu session, a one-off, possibly a two-parter, but just a little short scenario to Well, the reason that I decided to do it was John from the Red Dice Diaries and Ginny as the Rogue DM have never played Cthulhu, to my understanding. So I decided that was a wrong that needed to be righted, and here we are. So we'll see what happens.
Very worrying that I'm the veteran of this system between here. That's never a good sign.
All right. Our story is set in the small town, if you could even call it a town. It's more of just sort of a stop along the highway on the East Coast in New Hampshire, the town of Cass Rock. It's about 25 miles north of Portsmouth, and it's not really much more than 2 gas stations, an auto shop, and there's about a neighborhood or two worth of houses there in the city itself, and the school, the elementary school, as we call it over here in the States. And other than that, that's pretty much it. However, there is a bed and breakfast just to the south, about 2 miles of the town of Cass Rock, and the name of the bed and breakfast is the Winthrop House. It is a fairly large estate, sort of a southern style, very very French influenced, and it's about 9 o'clock in the morning as Penelope Thorpe sits at her desk. You can go ahead and describe your character, Ginny.
Penelope is a middle-aged woman from the town of Wichita, and she has various problems at home, which she obviously doesn't disclose with many people. But that is a reason why she likes to stay at the hotel, usually working for as long as possible. And she herself is a very hard worker. She seems to be quite a cold character when you first meet her, probably because she's completely concentrating on her work and calling people and writing things down and not paying that much attention to you. But she can open up if you talk to her for long enough.
All right. As I said, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. You've had only one family was staying here, and they already left this morning, so the hotel is now vacant. And today is a bit out of the ordinary, or an interesting day, because it is the day that
And he's gone.
It's the day
No,
that
we can-
silent broke on all of us.
So Hubert comes in with his suit and two briefcases. He sets one on the counter on the desk where you work, not directly in front of you so as to impede you, but he does. Opens it up as if to make sure some things are inside. He shuffles a few things around and then shuts it.
Okay, just to say, we lost you for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, we got as far as you saying it's the day, and then you kicked back in when you said Hubert came in. We missed everything between those 2 points.
Oh, well, here, let me adjust my bandwidth usage, see if that helps at all.
So we don't know why it's a special day.
But it is a day, and he is there. You do know that.
Okay.
Yes, it's a relevant day because he's in fact going out of town. He's going back west to visit his relatives. And as far as you know, Penelope, this is the only time, at least in your stint here, that he has been gone for any time longer than a weekend at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in and he sets his briefcase on your desk and sort of looks one of his briefcases, looks through it to make sure that he has, assumably, whatever he needs for his train ride back west. Well, all right then.
Good morning to you.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Excuse me if I seem a little absent-minded.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Just want to make sure that I have everything in order.
Sure, sure. Was it only those 2 briefcases you had, sir?
Yes. Everything else I put in the car overnight.
Oh, that's no problem at all. I suppose you'd be wanting the checkout book then? Let me just find that quickly for you. She starts rummaging through a pile of papers on her desk, which appear to be quite disorganized, but she seems to know exactly where the checkout book is. Gets it out and presents it to you.
All right. He signs it as well as sort of looking at who else has been there. It's been a rather slow weekend, and it's a rather slow time of the year. Fall has just set in for about a month, and it's quite chilly here. And you don't get a whole lot of traffic anyways, but it's definitely the slow time of the year. And in fact, some renovations and some remodeling are being done on parts of the house. So it seems to come to no surprise to him that there's not a lot of people that have been here. Yes, well, hopefully we can make enough money while I'm gone to at least perhaps come out even, not make some overhead.
Well, I like to keep positive about money, really. It may be slow this week, but it could be booming next week. We don't know.
All right. Well, I'm leaving you in charge then.
Don't worry. I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you, anyway.
Well, it's pretty slow, but yeah, and you don't have to, you don't have to worry about paying rent for this month. You can, I'll just pay you double wages for your trouble.
That's most kind of you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, and you could tell Mike I said the same thing. I would myself, but I really must be going if I'm going to catch this train in time.
Of course, of course. Safe journey with you now.
Thanks. I hope to see you soon.
I'm sure I will.
And he walks out the door, the swinging doors. About a half hour passes until you hear the roar of what sounds to be some sort of muscle car outside, pulling into the sort of rounded driveway there in the front. You hear it turn off and the door shut, and a few minutes later in walks a middle-aged man who is wearing sort of dirty jeans and just a tight white undershirt that's also kind of dirty, and he has on a leather jacket over that is not dirty. It is in fact immaculate, and he's got sort of not really a greaser haircut, but his hair's greased back. It's not really long, but long enough that it would be in his face if he didn't do it, and he appears quite unshaven. Hey, I've been driving all night. You got any vacancies?
Well, first I suppose I should welcome you to the Winthrop house. Let me have a look. We do have quite a few vacancies indeed, sir. Are there any in particular that would suit you? Perhaps a nice window overlooking the park, or maybe you just want a bit of quiet time? Maybe a more cozy room for you.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not too picky, he says as he sort of stomps his boots on the welcome mat, stomping off some mud.
All right then. Let's have a look. How about I give you first floor number 12? She
yes,
reaches in and gets a key.
That's fine.
And would you like to pay up front, sir, or at the end of your stay?
He pulls out a wallet which seems to have an inordinate amount of bills in it. I'll just pay up front if it's all the same to you.
That's no problem. Let me see. What out of character? What kind of rates would we be charging at this place?
Well, I'm no aficionado in such things, but let's think. It's 1964. Let's say that slow time of year you charge $15 a night.
Okay, cool. All right, well that will be let's make it $15 a night. How many nights were you intending to stay with us, sir?
Well, usually I just stay one night places, but I'm pretty tired. Some rest could do me good. I'll take two. He says as he hands you two 20s.
Good choice, good choice. Thank you very much indeed. Here's your key, don't lose it. I only have the one.
No. Fair enough. Is there a pub somewhere or a joint nearby, somewhere I can get something to drink?
Well, we do have a bar. I'm not really very versed in liquor, so I don't know anything about pubs in the area, I'm afraid, sir.
Oh well, no, I didn't know you had one in house here. That's convenient. That'll do.
Okay, well, have a good stay. I'm sure I'll see you later.
Yeah. Thank you. And in case you're wondering what his name was, he of course wrote it down in the thing as Remus Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear him go start up his car and pull it around to the side, and it's about 10 minutes later that he comes walking into the bar/restaurant of the Winthrop house. But of course he heads directly over to the bar, and I don't know if you're in there, Mike. It is fairly early in the morning.
I was going to say, if it's a, it could be a school day. In which case, I'm going to be at college or attempting college. I can be there pulling a shift if it's helpful.
We can say that it's a Saturday.
Okay. In which case, I am in. I've not long come in. I'm doing an early shift because I fancy going out on the town tonight. I'm going to be stuck in here. I'm going out on the town. For the benefit of the viewers, I am a young college-aged student, aspiring athlete, aspiring swimmer. My name is Mike Ingalls, and what can I say? I rather fancy myself. Yes, we'll keep it at that for the moment.
All right. So he comes in as you're assumably restocking things or perhaps cleaning up. There's certainly not really anyone to serve any alcohol at this point.
I will look at the gentleman rather surprised that check the clock. There's bound to be a clock in the bar. So look back instead of doing a double take.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I've been driving all night and all day. Need to get me some sleep, but before I do,
take a seat, sir.
Thank you.
Do you have a particular beverage?
Just rum or whiskey. Straight up.
Very well. Which is the more expensive?
The rum.
Get him that.
You have some Irish rum that hasn't been seen for quite some time. So any that people do have.
Time is given an airing. Get him a nice double shot. There you go, sir. And get the price and charge him for it.
He pulls out a 20. You can keep the change.
Thank you, sir. Very nice man. Pocket the change. Sort it.
You guys get a lot of business out here? Never been up this way, but it seems pretty quiet.
It's a very quiet town going through the very quiet part of our quiet year. we're more of a summer town.
A bit of quiet can suit me just fine, I'll tell you that.
Oh, a little quiet now and then is good for the soul.
You from around here or what?
Oh yes, I live not too far from here actually.
You planning on staying here your whole life, or?
Oh no. I'm an aspiring swimmer. I see an Olympics in my future.
Ah, that's good, boy. You should follow your dreams while you still got them. Well, even an old guy like me still has dreams.
Well, I wouldn't call you old, sir.
Well, if you was me, you'd certainly feel old, I could tell you that.
Oh, I don't think that would be true either. But you're obviously very tired.
Yeah.
Can we help you to your room?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. He says as he sort of gets up on his feet and doggedly walks out. I'll probably be back later tonight.
I'll make a point of being here.
And he heads off to his room tiredly.
As I'm dusting down the bar, whistling a jaunty tune.
Back to Penelope. It's a fairly slow day today. Most of your time is spent probably doing tedious things. Accounting for numbers and times and that sort of thing, which all of that is mostly done making sure your I's are dotted and your T's crossed. However, a little bit after noon, about 12:30 or so, you can hear the hum of a finely tuned machine outside, which a few minutes later, the doors open to a young couple who seem to be enthralled with each other, and the woman has a small white dog in her arms. It's a Westie. It's a West Highland White Terrier. It looks to be a young one. It's fairly cute. And this couple is, if you had to guess, probably no older than 20, 21. They're laughing about something wholeheartedly as they open the doors, and sort of look about wide-eyed as they come in. Hi. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking. Welcome to the Winthrop house. Would you two be liking a double room together?
Yes. This place is really nice.
Oh,
Passed it a few times, but when I was younger. But this is the first time I've ever been in here.
Well, we have a beautiful double room overlooking the park.
Oh, it's the honeymoon? Yes.
Oh, really? Well, congratulations to you both. I can get you a nicer room if you like. Our special suite.
Well, I mean, we've got a whole trip ahead of us. So if we don't spend all our money here, we won't be too upset. But well, what do you recommend? It seems like like a pretty nice establishment here. I mean, I'm sure any room will do. As he says this, his new wife looks slightly peeved. She sort of raises an eyebrow, which he doesn't seem to notice.
Well, it is entirely up to the discretion of the people staying in the room, sir. Like I said, we have a nice double room overlooking the park. We have our suite on the top floor. That has an ensuite bathroom to go with it as well. I will leave it up to you, the happy couple.
They sort of whisper amongst themselves for a moment. The guy sort of sighs and pulls out his wallet. We'll take the one with the bathroom.
The suite, no problem, sir. Let me just get me the guest book right here, and let me find the key.
Do you have any weekend deals?
I beg pardon? Like, what kind of deals?
Like, if we wanted the whole weekend.
Let me think. Let me just check my notes here. And she has like a little notepad of various recorded deals and accounts and discounts that we put on. And she says, "Well, I'm sure we could give you a little discount since it's a special time for you both. Let's see. Normally for the suite it would cost $30 a night, but I could get it down to $25 for you, if that seems more sufficient."
Yes, that sounds good.
25 it is then. Perfect. Right, the key is just here, and the key looks far more elaborate than the other ones on display.
Thank you. He sort of turns to his wife. All right, hon. I'll meet you up there. He hands her the key. I'm gonna go get the stuff from the car. Oh, isn't there someone that you have here that could do it for us?
Oh, yes, of course. And she dings the bell on the desk, which is the summoning for the concierge.
Who is the concierge? Or am I wearing multiple hats on this one?
Quentin, you hear this bell from I don't know where you are, somewhere perhaps within the house itself. Maybe you're sitting outside. You can go ahead and describe your character and whatever you're doing.
Okay, Quentin is in his sort of late teens, sort of early 20s. Although he's quite a sort of frail person. He's got sort of quite a sort of baby-faced look to his face. Perhaps there's some sort of an illness during his youth, but he always tries to remain cheerful. And he's been in the back reading one of his school books. He's saving his money, hoping to get out of this dead-end town and make something of his life. So he studies all the spare time he can get, but obviously he needs money to buy books. So he'll have been sat in the back leafing through one of these probably second-hand books that he's purchased. When the bell rings, he runs out to the front, heads over to the desk and says, yes, what is it? What can I do?
Ah, there you are, Quentin. Would you mind just taking this gentleman's bags up to his room at the suite, if you wouldn't mind? I believe the bags are still in the trunk. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah. Yes. That's fine. Here, come here, boy. He sort of steps outside with you. Have you ever driven a Rolls?
What have you? Well, no, sir. But I've driven my father's car. I gather it's a fairly simple process, sir. If you just give me the keys, I'll sort that out for you. No problems. And I'll have the bag up before you know it, sir.
Well, thank you. Here you go. He hands you $3 and the keys to his car.
Oh, thank you very much. So now, if you just head inside, I'm sure Miss Thorpe will take care of all the details, and I'll have these bags taken straight up to your suite for you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Quentin starts unlocking the car and getting in and sort of peering around at it all quite interestedly, and then, or very slowly and carefully, since he doesn't want to damage it or anything, he'll pull the car up as close as he can and start struggling the bags up the stairs.
And the car is one of the oldest cars that you've ever laid eyes on. Not to say that it's in particularly great condition or necessarily a nice car, but it is definitely vintage.
In that case, I should be extremely careful.
Indeed. So Mike, as you're pulling out stocking the taps and what have you, you see from out the window that you see him driving this car at an incredibly slow speed, being almost too careful.
I should be sat there with a big grin on my face as I'm like peering out the window as I'm sort of driving it along, seemingly quite oblivious to the terribly slow speed I'm doing as snails overtake me.
And so the day goes on, and no other guests come, and it's fairly uneventful. And as far as the specific time of year, I don't think I specified. I just said it was fall. It's the time of year that it is now. It's early October, and it is moderately northerly, so it is fairly chilly, especially once the sun has gone down. And go down it does, for the nights are becoming increasingly longer and the days shorter and shorter, so much so that partially because it's been a slow day for all of you, but also because it seems so much later than it actually is. You're all quite ready for the workday to end when it does end. And I don't know what each of you individually is planning on doing for the evening, if you're all going to be around the hotel, or if some of you are going into town, or anything.
Well, Quentin... Oh, sorry, go ahead, dude.
Sorry, yeah, I will finish my shift. I intend to hit the town and paint the town red, or at least slightly pink. And I make a sort of mental note that I am going to drop back into the B&B, because that nice man seemed very tired, and I think it's only neighbourly of me to make sure that he's all right. But at the moment, I'm thinking drink and possibly debauchery. Not necessarily in that order. But it's been one of those weeks. It's been boring. It's been a very dull day, and I'm heading out for a few drinks with friends and so on.
And so you do. And the other two?
Penelope, being Penelope, has found something else to do and is going to reorganize the accounts drawer.
Likewise, Quentin, probably since he's not at the bookstore, which is his other job this evening, given that it seems to be a sort of end of week / sort of weekend affair at the minute, he'll probably be found himself a small sort of table out of the way so he can still sort of hear if he's needed, and he'll have his well-worn satchel placed on the table next to him, and he'll probably be looking through some of his well-thumbed second-hand school books that he's trying to teach himself stuff out of, and he'll be sat there sort of reading through them, sort of occasionally scratching his head or writing on a little notepad.
Okay, so Penelope, you're maybe about an hour or so into this reorganization process when you hear a familiar drunken humming coming from the bar, quite obnoxious indeed. For it seems to be that your husband has found his way into the bar here, and is drinking himself to wherever he drinks himself to, as he's prone to do.
Penelope says to herself, "You can stay there for all I care."
All right, so Mike, when as you come in from your night on the town, which we will leave open to the imagination. As you come in from your night on the town, you of course see Quentin in the corner on sort of the restaurant side, but you see him, back in the table as he described, and Tim, a fellow by the name of Tim is the other man who sometimes works the bar, and he's working tonight. And there's only two people at the bar, one of them being Penelope's husband, and the other, which of course you know it to be Penelope's husband. He's probably came here and embarrassed himself, or at least by reputation only, if nothing else, from his drunken shenanigans. And the man from earlier, Remus Vanderbilt, who you made, they're sort of making drunken small talk at the bar.
I head over to the bar. What was the guy's name? The barman.
Tim.
Slow night, Tim?
Oh yeah, it's pretty slow.
Welcome to the wonderful world of B&B barmanship.
Yeah, I feel like I might get laid off for the season or something. It's been so.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me make your night of it. I will have myself a beer, and you will have whatever you're having. And I will pay for it, fully aware of the irony of giving money back to the people who gave me it in the first place. But I'm calling it investing it in next week's wages.
Oh! Remus sort of throws his hands up in the air and shouts a bit as he sees this. Ah! Now you've joined us, have you? The tables have turned. He sort of drunkenly walks over to you and puts an arm on your shoulder.
Hello?
A toast, my friend.
Indeed. What shall we toast
to? Free love and new beginnings, he says in the true spirit of the 60s.
I'm for that. Free love indeed. New beginnings indeed.
Mr. Thorpe, you gonna get over here? You gotta be part of this. And the poor old drunken Mr. Thorpe tries to hoist himself up off of the stool, but sort of falls over. He doesn't completely trip and fall on the ground. He catches himself, but he does land on his butt, and now he's just sort of sitting with his back on the floor with his back against the bar.
I place my drink down onto the bar and head over to Mr. Thorpe and try and put him back on his seat. Come on, Mr. Thorpe. It was a good dive, but not much for technical ability.
You understand?
Yes, let's go with that.
She doesn't understand, but you understand.
Yes, let's keep going with that.
He just sort of lays his head down. He's not asleep, but just you can tell his head's probably throbbing. He lays his head down.
Pat him sort of, on the head and say, sleep well, Mr. Thorpe. I turn to Tim and does she know he's here?
What's that?
Does she know he's here?
Well, he's not exactly subtle. I mean, she hasn't shown her face, but can't really blame the poor woman.
No. Listen, I think we better start watering it down, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't think it's going to help much now, but
Yeah, I'm good off just one more beer and I'll be good anyways. Remus says. And so.
Oh, your point is good, yeah. No, I'm going to stay in the bar. I've decided that Mrs. Thorpe can remain either blissfully ignorant or, if she does know, I'm not getting in the way of that blooming tornado. Quite frankly.
And so Quentin, you're sitting there watching this, of course, this whole.
I'll have been sort of occasionally sort of like peeking out from behind my book to sort of like try and not look like I'm listening to what's going on. Every time there's a sort of like loud shout, I'll sort of sink my head a little bit further into the book and look very intently at what I'm studying.
Continue to drink and make small talk with the gentleman.
Indeed, it definitively winds down after that point, and it's not long before everyone makes their way to their respective beds. I assume that all of you stay here as well. Your room and board is part of your pay. So everyone makes it back to their respective beds, and Quentin, you're just about to fall asleep. Where it does take you. You're not the sort of person that falls asleep as soon as your head hits the hay, unless you're extremely exhausted. You sort of have this ritual of tossing and turning in the night. Not that you're even uncomfortable. It's just what you do. And you're just about asleep when
What?
you hear sort of a tapping or a scratching on a door or a floor or something.
So still half asleep. I'll assume it's my own door, and I'll say, "Oh, excuse me a minute. I'll be right there." So put my nightgown on and my hat and wander over to the door and unlock it or unbolt it and slowly pull it back an inch and look round the door.
As you open the door, you hear now that the sound is coming from down the hall, not from outside your immediate door, but there's a sort of scratching of some sort.
So as not to make too much noise, because obviously there are guests in the hotel now, and I don't want to wake anyone up if it turns out to be like an animal or something ridiculous like that. So I'll sort of slide my slippers on, and I'll look around for like a candle or a lamp or something similar, and I'll take hold of that, and I'll go out my door, lock it behind me, and still sort of try to stifle a bit of a yawn. I'll slowly start making my way towards what I think the source of the sound is, thinking, oh, it's probably just a rat or a bird or something. But you know, I best have a look. I can always shout someone if it is anything serious.
And the wind, you can hear the wind blowing as it does on the coast at night. You can hear the wind blowing quite hard. But the scratching seems to be coming too low to be a tree branch. And as you walk through this, it's silence from everyone else's room. Everyone else, you don't hear any other noises coming from.
I'll be continuing towards the source of sound, although looking like strangely more perplexed as I do so. Trying to run through what it could possibly be. Thinking, oh well, this place is quite old. The pipes sometimes make a lot of noise, you know, timbers with the cold weather, etc. But I'll just go because I'm quite naturally curious fellow. I'll go, well, I'll just have a little look, because otherwise I'll never get back to sleep worrying about it. I'll go and have a look, satisfy myself it's nothing, and then I'll go straight back to bed. So I'll be heading towards the sound, and if it's coming from low down, I'll be sort of waving my lantern about sort of low down to see if I can spot anything on the floor or at floor level.
Yes, the sound doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon. And you are silent except for a few creaky floorboards, which you quickly probably retract your foot from. You don't emit any sounds. And as you come to the door, you don't see anything, but you do step on a board that's particularly creaky, and as you do, the tapping stops.
I'll sort of immediately pause as the creak's made, so that I try not to put any more weight on it, and I'll look around to make sure I've not woke anyone up, and then I'll test the floorboard next to it, see if that's as creaky, hoping that I can find somewhere slightly more secure to like move on without making a noise. I don't want to wake any of the guests up. The management to be furious.
Alright, then first roll of the game. You can go ahead and make a sneak roll. I hope that's what it's been so long since I played the system. I think that's what the skill is.
Oh, I actually have that.
Yes, percentile roll.
I am the worst sneaker in the world. I have a small brass band following me down the corridor.
Reminds me of that film, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, where the guy's walking past and there's a band behind him. And who's these guys? And he goes, this is my theme music. Every good hero should have one. And they're behind him doing the whole kind of Shaft-style music.
Exactly. When I'm going to sort of like move my elbows back, trying to sort of like retract back, and I'm suddenly like bang the drum that I've left on my back, and be like, oh, I knew I should have taken that off.
As you stepped on the aforementioned creak, you sort of backed up, but as you did, your butt hit a music box, which emitted the brass sound which Jenny supplied, and it wasn't incredibly loud, and the wind is blowing quite forcefully, but still in the middle of the night when there's no other sounds, chances are that someone probably heard it, but as maybe strangely, maybe not, but as this goes off, the tapping resumes, and a bit more fervently this time on the other side of the door right in front of you, the door which leads out, or which is a door to the outside.
Oh, right, so maybe it's some like an animal trying to get in, like, you know, shelter from the storm or something. Is there any is there like a keyhole in the door or anything I could reasonably sort of peek through? or is there like a gap underneath it that I could sort of peek under? Because obviously, if it is some sort of wild animal, I don't want to actually open the door and let it into the hotel.
You can peek through the keyhole, and there's also although this place is quite nice and you keep everything maintained, there is one part of the door that's slightly a little warped perhaps, and comes inward a bit enough that you can peek out.
I will have a peek through the opening then, see if I can see anything outside.
You do not see anything, and it is fair. It's about 3/4 of a moon that is waxing, so the light outside is ample enough to see, but you do not see anything.
But I can still hear the tapping.
Yes.
Can I tell? Can I tell whether is the tapping coming from sort of like high up in the door, or is it sort of like, does it sound like something scrabbling at the bottom of the door?
It sounds like something scrabbling at the bottom of the door.
Well, I think eventually, being a sort of kind-hearted soul, the fact some sort of like injured animal or something similar will overcome his worries about the management telling him off, and eventually he'll sort of open the door a crack, thinking, oh, maybe it's a dog that's been hit by a car on the road, or maybe it's an injured cat or something like that. Obviously, he couldn't leave a poor creature, especially with the storm and everything. Couldn't leave something outside when it might be injured. So I think eventually that'll overcome his sort of worry about it, and he'll slowly ease the door open, sort of poking his head around the side to have a look.
And look, you do, and you see a small white blob on the ground, which is the dog owned by the couple.
What state does it look to be in? Is it injured, or is it just sort of been locked out?
It doesn't appear. It's distressed and it wants in, but it doesn't look to be in. It's a bit dirty, but it doesn't seem like anything's wrong with it, or it's hurt or anything. It is shivering a bit.
Does it have a lead or a collar or anything on? Or?
Yes, it does have a pink collar.
Okay. What I'm basically going to try and do is I'm going to try and sort of pick the dog up, effectively, given that it's a Westie, it's fairly sort of small and easy to pick up. I'll sort of try and pick it up, and I'll be like, what are you doing outside? Come on, let's get you inside where it's warmer. I think I saw the cook leave some biscuits on a plate in the kitchen. We'll get you one of those, and then we'll get you taken back upstairs.
And he's a pup.
And I'll sort of carry the dog in.
Yeah, he's a pup too, so he scampers right into your arms without thinking twice about it.
Oh. Right, come on then, little fella. Don't you worry about it. You come along with me. We'll get you inside. We'll get you dried off where it's nice and warmer, and I'll be careful to like shut the door and lock it or bolt it or whatever the equivalent is behind me, and then I'll sort of head off towards the kitchen area, thinking it's probably the warmest place in the hotel, given there's probably been a bit of cooking going on there during the day, and given that there's probably also some like bits of food or whatever. A worst case scenario, I can probably fish something out of the bins that the dog will eat.
Yeah, there is both. There's some, fresh stuff that was just put in the trash that wouldn't do the dog any harm to eat, and there's also some stuff that's probably going to go bad soon.
Well, if it's not in the bins, I'll probably leave the stuff that's like out, because they might be using that for whatever reason. But if there's some stuff like like sitting on the top of the bin, it's obviously only just been put in there. I'll take a bit of whatever's there, and I'll go to the dog and go, there you go, get a bit of that down you. That'll perk you up a bit, little fella.
Yeah, there's some buns and hamburger meat. And of course, being a dog, it eats it right up, probably swallows it without chewing.
Once I've certain that the dog doesn't appear to be in any immediate danger, obviously, what would the normal procedure if like a hotel guest had like lost something? be. So I don't want to just sort of like run back up there in the middle of the night to be like hammering on their door saying, "I've got your dog." But I'm not really sure about going and waking the management up either, 'cause it's the middle of the night. I know what I'll do. Ask my old in the bar. I'm sure he'll be delighted to get up in the middle of the night and help me with this problem.
Sorry, I cut out there for a second. What'd you say?
I said I'll go and get my old teacher friend. I'm sure he's not been drinking all night, and he'll be quite happy to jump up in the middle of the night to help one of his students out with a thorny problem like this.
Indeed, and you know his house to be less than about a quarter of a mile from here, just down the road. He used to pick you and some of the other boys up to carpool on the way to school.
Oh no! If his house is that far away, I probably don't want to travel that much with the dog, since it's obviously been out there all night. I'll be thinking, right, who else in the hotel could I wake up without annoying too many people to say, what do I do with this dog that I found? Assuming there's the hotel management doesn't have remarkable foresight and has put in place any sort of lost dog hotel policy, which I assume not.
Well, perhaps some people are already awake from that brass music box that played as well. I'm not really sure the mechanic of rolling to see if people wake up, or I don't know if you players want to decide if you heard that or if you didn't.
Well, do a straight lesson roll.
Yeah, true. He failed his sneak, so.
Do a straight lesson roll.
Massively.
What if you do not have listen?
I think it's got a minimum. It's got a minimum of 25.
Okay.
Who
Yeah.
would be the normal sort of emergency contact in the hotel if like something like an actual emergency happened like in the evening? So I presume there'd be, like how you have like a fire marshal or something similar in modern day. I presume there'd be like the person who would be sort of in charge if like an emergency happened.
Yes, there actually is, and everyone's character would know it, or everyone that works at the hotel. There is actually a panic button that Penelope can use behind her desk, and there. I mean, you guys are a ways out of Portsmouth, and there's no local police or fire, just where you guys live. But there is a retired fire chief that lives just around the corner. That he'll be the first on site. But
oh no, sorry, I meant is there more who would be sort of like the emergency contact within the hotel? So like who'd be in charge like of organising stuff if an emergency went down?
Generally Hubert, because he's very hands-on, the owner. But in his stead, probably Lizzie.
Ah.
I mean, excuse me, not Lizzie, Penelope.
I know where Penelope's room is.
Okay. Just wanted to.
Penelope's quite a light sleeper anyway.
In which case, I shall head up and attempt to very timidly knock on the door so I can go, I found a dog. Assuming that she's not awake from the like. So I shall make my way up to her room, still sort of carrying the dog.
Okay. After a few seconds, you see her open the door with a candle. Oh, Quentin, what are you doing up so late?
I'll sort of be peering out from behind the dog. And I say, sorry to disturb you. Miss Thorpe. I heard a noise at the door, and the couple who came in, the young couple on their honeymoon. I found their dog outside. I think he must have escaped and got caught outside. I didn't really want to go and wake them, them being on their honeymoon and all. So I thought it was best to come to you.
Well, you did the right thing. Yeah, that's odd that left the dog outside like that. Do you think we'd be able to keep it in the bar for a bit for the night?
I think so, Miss. I do have to apologise, Miss. He got out of my hands a few minutes ago, and I think he's knocked that old music box over.
Oh, that's what that noise was. Well, you'd be more careful with him.
Sorry about that. He's wriggling out. He's wriggling a bit. It's a bit difficult to keep hold of. I've given him a couple of biscuits, and that seems to have settled him down a little bit. But yeah, I can keep an eye on him until morning if that's what you think's best, Miss Thorpe.
Yeah, keep him in the bar. There are lots of comfy seats. I'm sure he can get some sleep on that.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well, I can get some of my books and stay down there with him. That's not a problem. I wasn't really sleeping very well anyway, so not with all this wind and everything. So
that'd be very good of you. I'm sure they can pipe up a good breakfast for you the next day.
Oh, thank you very much, Miss Thorpe. Thank you very much. And I'll sort of start carrying this dog back downstairs.
Good night, Quentin.
Good night, Miss Thorpe.
As you walk by Mike's room, you hear him snoring loudly. Assumably his sleep unimpeded by the noises of the night.
I'll sort of think, I wish I could get to sleep as easy as that, and I'll head downstairs with the dog, planning to stop at my room on the way back, grab like a couple of my books and a blanket, so I can basically keep downstairs with the dog, read a couple of my books. I doubt after all this excitement, I'll get back to sleep very quickly, so I can stay downstairs, keep an eye on the dog, and then, like I said, I can have a slap-up feed in the morning. Lovely jubbly.
Indeed. You awake in the morning to find that the dog has sort of curled up in your arms, Quentin. And I'm sorry, did you say you're in your room, or are you?
I was going to stop off in my room to pick up one of my books, and then I was going to go down to the bar with him, just so I'd basically got something to read while I was keeping an eye on the dog, because I don't think I'd really get to sleep very quickly after all this excitement. So.
Right. Well, eventually you did get to sleep. You wake up with the book still in your hand, and the dog between you and the book, in sort of a strange sandwich. And you're woken up by the loud voice of the husband. Oh God! Oh God! Thank you.
I also a bit bleary-eyed look around, thinking, is he talking to me?
Yes. Quite early in the morning, you can just tell by the light in the room that the sun has not even risen fully. And in fact, he's not even wearing proper pants. He just has a flannel shirt and thermal sort of pants on. You can tell that he just rushed up in the middle of the night as soon as he, or more likely his new wife, found their dog missing.
Oh, but good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'll sort of hand the dog over to him. There you go, sir. All safe and sound.
Thanks. We left the window open to get a little breeze in there at night. I didn't think he'd be so dumb as to actually jump out.
Well, sir, I found the little fella scrambling outside the main door to be let in. I didn't want to wake the two of you, I didn't want to do anything to interfere with your honeymoon, so I've just been keeping him down here in the warmer, fed him a few biscuits. He seems absolutely fine, sir, nothing to worry about.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's quite all right, sir. It's all part of the service.
Well, Here, this. Trust me, the peace of mind that you gave both of us is worth far more than this. He says as he hands you $10.
Oh, thank you, sir. And I took that in my pocket.
Well, you can go back to bed then. I'm sure you're tired of dealing with this dog all night.
Oh, it was no trouble, sir. Little fella's been curled up asleep for most of it. I don't really sleep much myself. I was just doing a little bit of reading, sir.
All right. Well, I'm gonna head back to the bedroom. But thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem, sir. Have a good evening.
I was really scared there for a minute.
I'd suggest you perhaps keep the window shut, sir, and we don't want him getting out again.
Yeah, well, certainly not as open, anyways. Thanks.
No problem, sir.
And he's sort of petting the dog as he heads out of the bar.
I'll sort of wait for a few minutes after he's gone. Tuck my book under my arm. I'll have a quick look around, make sure any sort of like bits of mess that the dog's made, I'll like anything he's moved about or knocked, I'll sort of quickly tidy up, and then I'll start heading back up the stairs towards my room, being very careful not to like knock over any music boxes or sort of accidentally fall onto any like vuvuzelas or anything on the way up the stairs.
Well, this time you do not need to make a roll, for the birds are quite loud in the air as morning is on the horizon, pun intended.
As I walk past the clock, I'll just sort of have a look and sort of see how long it is until I have to get up anyway. So if it's only like a half an hour or something, I'll probably just stay up.
Well, it is. It will be a Sunday in America in the early '60s. So a lot of businesses aren't open on Sundays, and those that are pretty lenient. Places like bed and breakfasts are perhaps open, but don't offer, necessarily everything that they always would. So you can sleep in until 10 o'clock on Sundays.
Well, I expect I shall head back to my room then. I go just read a few pages before I go to.
And so the young Quentin attempts to learn through osmosis once more.
I said, absorb the words through your skin. It's the only way.
I don't know whether or not you get back to sleep, Penelope, but seeing as how you were the only one that didn't ingest copious amounts of alcohol or who wasn't up all night, you're really the first one who's up and about in the morning. It's about 8 o'clock, 8:30 perhaps, and it is very misty outside, even foggier than normal. And of course, it is a coastal town in the fall, so that's to be expected. But you notice it. Perhaps the season, you're not used to the season setting in fully, but it seems at least something worth noticing. How foggy it is.
Can I ask, considering she's in charge this week at the bed and breakfast, I thought of Penelope as somebody who would be going to church on a Sunday. So would that still be possible, or would she still have to look after the hotel?
No, that's very possible.
Okay.
Definitely.
In that case, after sleeping for a few hours, she gets up, gets washed, starts putting on her Sunday clothes to get ready for church.
All right. As you're as you're putting on your sort of finishing putting on your nice dress and whatnot, you suddenly hear a very loud, what sounds like a door slamming, but incredibly loud. And it's not your door, and it's not any door. It's very close to yours. You can hear it from farther, almost at the other end of this big house. But you hear an almost violent door open.
That's odd. I look out of the window and see how windy it is.
It is pretty windy, but not enough that it would be dangerous necessarily.
Not enough to slam the door.
Yes. At this point, as far as the vehicles are concerned, the fog is much more dangerous than any wind.
She decides to maybe go and investigate on the way out.
As you reach the bottom of the stairs and into the sort of main hallway where the guests are, at least on the bottom floor, you're met with quite a cold breeze. And as you turn and look, sure enough, the door is open. And it seems to even be off one of its hinges slightly.
Oh, gosh darn. I'll have to get that fixed. She goes over to the desk and writes down a memo. Fix hinge on door. She then goes up to examine the door. Obviously, if it's really bad, then she would have to call somebody.
As you go to look at the door, you notice a good deal of moisture on the ground, around both sides of the threshold, and of course it's the air is it's very foggy, and it is the morning, so there is dew, but there is almost an inordinate amount of liquid on the ground around this threshold.
I rack my brains to see if anyone could come immediately to fix the door.
You have a maintenance man that you call, and you guys have been doing a lot of renovations, so he's here more days than not. You have his number if you want to go call him, or you can just wait until you see him.
She's also quite self-conscious about the fact she needs to go to church, so she thinks to call him quickly and explain the situation, but says she can't stay.
Okay. As you're on the phone talking, you hear something that sounds like boards being ripped apart, like wood being broken.
Whereabouts?
As you poke your head down the hall, you can hear it coming from the other end of the hallway. It sounds like all of these rooms on either side are all bedrooms, so assumably from one of these bedrooms down at the other end of this hallway.
Have I finished my conversation with the maintenance man?
Yeah. Pretty much. He just tells you, okay. Thanks for letting me know, and I'll be over as soon as I can.
In that case, I say goodbye, put the phone down, and I carefully go towards the sound of where this huge bang came from.
As you make your way down the hallway, you hear two perhaps 3 more times what sound like boards being ripped apart. And it's this, of course, combined with the door that got assumably blown off its hinges, has been quite loud. And at first, maybe you're surprised that no one else has heard it, but then you remember what state you left everyone in last night, quite intoxicated indeed. And you know the boy to be that he was up late at night, so he's probably fast asleep as well.
Mm-hmm.
But as you head down this hallway, you're about 3 doors from the one on the end when you notice that door is open as well. One of these bedroom doors is open. You can see as you approach it, and a split second after you see that it's open, a smell reaches your nose. A smell that can only be described as some strange amalgamation between rotting fish and horrible body odor.
Hello? Anyone in here? Anybody need any help?
You can make a listen roll, Ginny.
Okay. Right, so it's now 25. I got 16.
Okay.
But I don't actually have the skill.
Oh yeah, that's good enough. You made it. You hear what seems to be a sort of muffled gurgling coming from the room.
Okay, as in somebody making a gurgling or coming from like a body of water? Because it can sound a little different.
Yeah, you're not quite sure. It sounds like someone gurgling, but almost like they're struggling to do it, like it pains them to do it.
Okay. I take a look around the room. Again, trying to see if anybody's there.
You
Can have a look and like what does the room look like?
The room is I mean it has a bed in it, a nightstand. It's pretty nondescript. The only strange thing that you notice at first as you look into it is that there seems to be some liquid on the ground. And then you notice that the bathroom there's a sort of bathroom in between this room and the room that's next to that connects them, and you see that the bathroom sort of the threshold right between the bedroom and the bathroom, there seems to be floorboards that are ripped up that are just sort of sitting there in a pile.
Okay, I head to the bathroom.
Okay, as you head to the bathroom, this smell grows stronger and stronger. You gag a couple times, but you manage to hold it in. Yet, so of course, you cover your nose and mouth. And
she hopes it's just a burst pipe or something.
Indeed, it's something. There's a man standing in the floor, sort of through the floor. He's ripped the floor up, and he's standing on the ground. And it's sort of up to his hips, and he's bending over. But his skin, assuming it's a he, his skin is black, a very dark green and almost black color, and he seems to have sort of some seaweed hanging off of him. And you can't see his face. He's sort of He's sort of bending over, not really ripping up other floorboards, but rummaging around underneath the floorboards for something, and doesn't seem to have noticed you. He's bending over with his back to you.
What are you doing? What in God's name are you doing? Who are you? Come out of there.
This thing slowly turns around to face you, and strangely enough, it has no facial features at all, really. You can see the hint of eyes and a slits that could be a nose, but they're covered by what looks to be small, slimy layers of, you're not sure if it's skin. It looks to be almost an amniotic fluid of sorts, and this thing looks at you with no eyes and no mouth, but you could still feel it looking at you. It slowly erects its back and stands up straight. And as you see this thing, it's of course unlike anything that you've ever heard about or known to exist before. So you will have to make a sanity roll. Roll a D8.
Okay. 4.
You lose 4 sanity.
Doesn't she make the sand roll first before deciding on? She's got to make a sand roll first. See whether she loses a point at all.
And what's that roll?
That roll is a percentile roll under your current sanity. Not the 99 current sanity score.
That's right. That's right. I thought you do that to gain it back. But you gain back automatically, but you roll to lose, right?
Yeah, you roll it like a skill. If she makes it, she gets either 0 or the description that you've got will say, if you make your sand roll, you don't lose any points, or you lose 1 point or something like that. And if you fail it, you get, the bigger hit. But you got to make the sand roll first.
Okay.
So roll a percentile die and roll under your sanity.
Okay, which is currently 55. Now we start saying the Lord's Prayer. I got 40.
All right. So I don't know how perhaps you justify this in your mind. You probably just don't believe that it is whatever it is. I don't know. Or perhaps it's just not disturbing to your character.
I'll have to think about that.
Oh. At any rate, this thing is standing there looking at you without a face, and it begins to slowly pull itself up.
Penelope slowly backs away until she reaches the doorway before running down towards the front door.
As you head towards the front door, you can't help but notice that this fog has crept up even more, and it's almost right at the door itself. You can't even see the end of the porch from outside the door.
Right. Well, Penelope thinks that a place of safety at this point would definitely be a church, so I'm hoping that she'll be able to try and make her way there.
All right. So you're just going straight through the front, straight out of the hall, straight through the front door?
Yeah, she She wouldn't know any better.
Right? Yeah. No. Fair enough. I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sure. So you. And do you have your own car, or is the church walking distance?
I would assume the church would be walking distance.
Okay. All right. So you head out into this fog, and you can't see more than probably eight or maybe 10 feet in front of you, but you know this area well enough to do it with your eyes closed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you make your way to the main road where the fog considerably lessens, it seems. And as you look back, you can see that it seems to have sort of coalesced, this mist around sort of the Winthrop house and the area of the coastline that is adjacent to it.
Right. I keep going to church.
Fair enough.
Warn the vicar. Or priest, or whatever it is.
All right.
Pastor. Would it be a pastor?
Okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, to say the least. They kicked Ginny off too?
I'm sure she'll be back just right.
That's what failing a sanity check will do for you.
Yeah. Ah! It's come up on my screen now. Can you see that roll now?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Thanks, Scooby, for that. Seems appropriate.
Well,
Thanks, Scooby.
hopefully Ginny will return shortly. But in the meantime, which of you fine gentlemen wakes up first?
Why don't you just roll at random? Go on.
Who wants to deal with this madness first?
I'm happy with the random roll.
Yeah, just go odds evens on it. Declare who's odds, who's evens, and
Yeah, let me see. Trying to find this die app.
Do you want me to just roll a dice while you're doing
Yeah,
that?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, do you want odds or evens, Ronnie?
I'll go on. I'm decidedly odds.
Okay, evens for me then. It's you, Ronnie.
That's fine.
So you're woken up by quite a strange smell indeed. You don't you don't smell it nearly to the extent that Ginny did. However, you're sort of woken up by this smell that's reminiscent of rotting fish and someone that hasn't bathed in months.
Ugh. I haven't smelled anything like this since that time I was in that Yes, I get up. Put on a pair of trousers, shirt, very sort of quickly.
As soon as you get downstairs, of course you feel the coldness in the hallway, and you see this door that's got ripped off of It's still sort of connected. One of the hinges is still connected, but one of the hinges has been sort of detached, and the door is sort of hanging lopsided.
Okay. I will against all judgment and defying every good law of horror movies, I will head towards the door. I will go and investigate when all common sense should say I should not go near something that has just taken a door off. Right, yeah, heading through the door.
You head to the door, and like I said to Ginny, you notice a lot of water. It appears to be sort of on the ground around the threshold of this door, and you can also hear the footsteps of someone approaching through the fog.
Look out. Look towards where the footsteps are coming from.
From out of the fog emerges the figure of Bill Brown, the maintenance man. Morning, Mike.
Morning. I would say it was a good morning. I certainly can't say it's a fresh morning. Do we have like a backed up sewer, or have the fishermen come back early?
I don't know. What do you? Oh man, it wasn't that bad from over there. Whew.
Yes, it's
Look, I don't know. I just showed up. Penelope called me, said the door was messed up, and well, here I am.
Yes. I appreciate Penelope has a wonderful sense of understating. The door is very much not good. Point the door and the fact that it's hanging off its hinges.
What the hell? The hell did this?
Part
Was
of
Arthur?
me wants to know the answer.
I mean, was Arthur here last night? He's destroyed a lot of stuff in his drunkenness before, but
He was here. He was certainly down in the bar last night. Might have been him that blocked up the sewer. It might be him causing the smell.
Well, I can probably fix this to hold in the meantime, but it looks like you're just going to need a new door.
Yes, you might have to take that up with the boss. I peek into the room, give it, a proper sort of look-see to actually see the extent of the water and possible damage.
But you want to go look in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay. And he Bill sort of follows you down there as well.
Okay.
You see a good deal of water on the floor, but not enough to really damage anything necessarily. But like I said, as you look in the bathroom, you can see that about 3/4 of the hardwood floor has been ripped out of the bathroom.
My God. What? You know that was a perfectly good bathroom?
Yeah. I redid it this summer. Trust me, I know.
I know. I'm complimenting your work. What else do I notice in here other than ripped floorboards and broken hearts?
You can make a spot hidden roll.
Go ahead. Now we're talking. Yes. And by some distance. My spot hidden is 75.
Oh, wow. You don't see anything of significance in the bathroom itself. For most of it is pretty just torn up by this point. But as you look down in this hole, you see that. I mean, I'm assuming you haven't jumped down there yet, but just sort of looking around from what you can see, it looks like this area under the house was hollowed out. I mean, there's always a little bit of room underneath the floorboards and the ground of the house, but it seems like this area was specifically hollowed out, and almost a little makeshift room was made here for some purpose.
I think we have rats. Great, big, smelly rats.
Rats that rip 2x4s out of the floor?
I'm not saying it's a perfect metaphor. Go with me. I don't want to know about things that can rip up 2x4s from the floor.
Well,
I'm leaving.
What? You're what?
I literally, I say that and I walk away. I'm leaving now.
What does he think this is, England? I mean, rats aren't that bad.
I'll tell you, Bill, I think you're the salt of the earth, my dear friend. But if you find yourself lying down in your bed one night, waking up to a rat chomping your face because it's mistaking you for a treat, I just want you to lie back and remember, they're not that bad. I walk out of that room as fast as my legs can carry me.
And you go back to your room, or you leave the house?
I go back to my room to change into something a bit more for the weather, because as I say, I just grab pants and a shirt to go and check things out. I actually get properly changed at this point, shoes and everything on, and go down to the bar.
All right. As you're headed to the bar, the couple emerges from their room with sort of a clueless look on their face. What's going on?
I think we have a small problem with a backed up sewer.
Is it safe to stay here? I mean,
yes, perfect. This lovely man here is going to see to the problem, aren't you, Bill?
You look over at Bill, who at this point is inadvertently flashing you guys his butt crack. He sort of stands up and adjusts his pants.
You see, he's straight onto the job. Gotta love him. Let's have a complimentary beverage at the bar.
Yeah, come on, sweetie. I mean, these sort of things happen. I'm sure they know what they're doing. Do you guys have a continental breakfast or anything?
I'll see what we can rustle up. Right, get them to the bar. Find them a nice table, get cutlery down to them. Head to the kitchen, find the officers. I want to see if Penny is anywhere in the building.
No, but I think I'm pretty sure that you've both worked here for at least a number of months, so you would know her habit of which doesn't mean maybe that you're not any less upset with her, but you would probably know her religious habit.
Oh, God, she'll be at church. Not my favorite place. Head to the kitchen. Is there anyone in the kitchen? You know, I assume the B&B have a cook.
Yes. There is a cook.
Is the cook there?
Yeah. He's a stocky man with blonde hair, and he's got quite a bit of hair on his arms, which is all blonde as well. His name's Henry Cartwright.
There has to be a Cartwright in a Cthulhu game. Henry, if I say the words continental breakfast to you, what does that bring to mind?
Well, right, some sausage and pancakes. We've got bacon, but it's turkey bacon, and you know what happened last time I tried to serve turkey bacon to someone.
Well, your idea of continental breakfast? We'll have 2 of those, please, and send them out to the front. I'm going to try and find the boss. We have a small odor problem to take care of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey man, I heard what you told me. I've been putting on deodorant. I mean, what do you want? I sweat a lot back here.
I assure you, my good man, today it's definitely not your odor.
Oh, all right.
You are positively cologne compared to what's going on in this place at the moment. Right, head out the door in the general direction of the church.
All right, so you head towards the church to find Penelope, and it's probably well to be honest, if Quentin's going to sleep until 10, church would start before then, so we'll go to church. But by the time you arrive, the service is midway through.
Okay. Do I encounter the same thing that you mentioned about the fog suddenly dissipating when I hit Main Street?
Yes, you do. But by this point, as you walk out, the fog is sort of leaving the house and retreating back, sort of flattening out back towards the sea and back inland and spreading itself, sort of dissipating. But you do notice that although it's foggy everywhere, that it's particularly foggy around the Winthrop house.
Okay. Problems for Bill to solve. Odor, fog.
So are you going to bother Penelope mid-service, or are you going to wait until it's over?
I will wait. I will at least stand near her if I can't actually sort of stand beside her wherever she is, because she might be
You're just being really heavy-handed with making your presence known.
Well, I'm trying to sort of go along with the situation at hand. I feel if we're dealing with heavy-handed odors, a heavy-handed approach needs to be taken.
All right, so you're mid-him, Penelope, when you notice that Mike has sort of sat down next to you, or I guess your stand when you sing is standing next to you.
Are they in mid-him? They're in mid-him.
Yes, they're in mid-him.
Okay, I will attempt to mouth the words of whatever they're singing. Damned if I'm actually singing it. But I will sort of open my mouth just about the same time as everyone else, so it looks like I'm actually joining in.
I very quietly whisper to him, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?"
Praying for my salvation. More importantly, I'm here to talk about the interesting new fragrances currently currently at Winthrop House. It's an interesting aroma, and sadly the guests have started to notice.
She keeps on singing the hymn, and then in the middle of another verse, she says, "Well, what do you want me to do about it? I don't know how to deal with it."
Well, I have asked Bill to look into the situation, but if I may be so bold, it would seem important that the manager of the establishment should be there at a time of olfactory crisis.
The fact that you come to church every Sunday should not really be a problem. And for your information, I have not exactly had the best morning either.
In between words, I'm still trying to mouth whatever they're singing.
Think of a random hymn. Oh, mine's not back.
The fog has cleared.
Yes, it has.
Although I would just point out that, according to John, the Lord of the Dance is a random timey. Thank God you never put random hymen, because that really would have been.
Well.
Yes, indeed.
Good job, I am not religious anymore.
And so the hymn ends and the sermon begins in earnest. For those ears that need it most.
I sort of half tune out because I'm still trying to hopefully get the manager to actually leave, but I kind of get the impression she's not going to budge before the sermon's over. So, as not to cause embarrassment to her, I remain in my seat because I don't want, be nothing more embarrassing to her than the person next to her suddenly getting up and walking out in the middle of the sermon, because everyone would suddenly turn around and look at her as if to say, "What did you say to make him leave?" So I'll be on my best behavior until the end of the service now.
And you probably figure that church is as safe a place for any as you as well. Well, it's all right. So during this service is about the time that Quentin finally begins to rub the sleep out of his eyes. And fortunately for him, the smell has dissipated by this time, as well as the fog, pretty much.
Peel the book off my face. Gonna have a look outside through the window. Still sort of rubbing my eyes.
You see the old beat up pickup, which is driven by Bill Brown, parked there.
Oh, maybe the pipes are clogged again. Oh, I'm sure it'll all be fine. I'm going to go off downstairs in search of that breakfast that I was going to have.
All right. So you head down there, and you actually find Bill is sitting there. Henry has just brought him a plate of breakfast, and he's sitting there eating.
Oh,
boy.
Oh, well, good morning, Mr. Bill, sir. Sorry, I'm a bit late up this morning. I was up all night looking after a matter for one of the guests. Oh, excuse me.
Oh yeah, the couple. They were just in here. They just went out for a walk.
Oh, good. Where is everyone, Bill?
Well, it is Sunday, so pretty sure Penelope's down at the church, and well, I know it sounds crazy, but it looked like Mike went off heading that direction after her. I know you'd never catch him dead in a church, but well, that's the direction he took off.
Really? You sure it was Mike?
Yeah. Bartender Mike. Hey, Henry, bring the boy a plate too.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mike, going to church, you say?
Yeah, well, it may be, might have had a bit of a rude awakening this morning, if you know what I mean. There was some sort of wild animal, it looks like, that tore one of the rooms up.
Well, I did hear some scratching around the building when I was up in the wee small hours this morning, Mr. Bell. But I assumed it was the young couple's dog that had got out.
Well, take a pretty big dog to do whatever happened in that bathroom.
Oh no! It couldn't have been the dog then, sir. It's a tiny little thing, ever so small, but big, easy enough that I could pick it up and carry it, sir. It can't have been the dog. I wonder what it was then.
I don't know.
And it got into the building, you say, sir?
Yeah.
Well, perhaps Miss Thorpe should speak to you about fitting some stronger locks then. So we don't want any guests being menaced by a wild animal where they're trying to stab. I mean, there's not that many guests as it is. I'll look around, realise that I'm talking quite loudly, and then go, sorry, sir, there's not that many guests at the minute as there is. We don't really want to go scaring away the ones we have got.
Yes, fair enough. Well, strange. The lock on the door didn't seem to be the problem. For the lock is still locked. The door was blown off its hinges somehow, or maybe ripped off. Must have been a bear or something.
I was going to say it must have been a huge animal to do that, Mr. Bill. I mean, these doors are still. I remember when you came and fitted them, so very sturdy indeed. I wouldn't like to run into the animal that could rip them off its hinges, sir. Well,
yeah.
I hope whatever it is that it gets caught sooner. Oh, this is quite going to keep me up at night, sir.
Oh well, don't worry about that, boy. You know how bears. They've got an incredible sense of smell, and they go into hibernation about this time of year. They can be quite grumpy right before or right after they wake up. So it's probably just some irregular behavior.
I'm sure you're right, sir. But it's not something I know a lot about, to be honest. Thank you. I'll sleep better for knowing that. So all the same, I might spend a few more nights sleeping above the bookshop, if you know what I'm saying. So it doesn't hurt to be a little bit safe.
Yes, it couldn't hurt. I might be careful about talking to Mike about it, though. He might give you nightmares. He was mentioning something about a rat biting my face off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yes, yes. Mike does love a good story. Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, I do think he exaggerates a little bit. I remember when he told me that the noise that the flue makes is a man that lives up the chimney. Kept me awake for days.
Yes, well, Mike, he has a fondness for the only thing he's more fond of than his own stories is himself.
Well, I wouldn't know about that, Mr. Bill, but yes, he is a very confident man.
Mm.
Him and a few other fellows were in here in the bar the other night. I was just sat over in the corner doing a little bit of reading. They were quite noisy. I think he'd been down to the towns, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Well, suppose we all need a break from monotony sometimes. When I was a younger man, I used to go to nightclubs quite often.
Well, I wouldn't know myself, sir. My constitution won't really stand for it myself ever since. I've been a little bit sickly ever since I was young, sir. Can't really take it myself. And with all the studying I do and with working here and at the bookshop, when would I find the time?
You're a good boy.
Well, I try my best, sir. Thank you.
So it's about that time that the church service has wrapped up.
Okay. So I tidily put all the books back in the pew and stand up.
Yep.
Get my coat.
Everyone is sort of standing about, sort of casually talking to each other. No one's really making any hurry to leave the church, with the exception of maybe one or two people who have small children to return to.
Okay.
An inordinate amount of people are approaching Mike and shaking his hands and being friendly with them. The majority of them you know from, it's a small area, Mike, so you know them, but most of them seem thoroughly pleased to finally see you here in the house of God.
I play along and say, yes, well, he was just telling me himself, that he can find peace in this holy place, which he doesn't get from working in a bar.
What can I say?
That's good, brother. A step in the right direction, to be sure.
Amen.
Amen, indeed.
Y'all gonna come down to the potluck?
Do I know what that is?
Oh, it's just at the Winston's house, just around the corner. We're all going over there together.
That sounds singularly delightful. However, there are a small number of repairs to be done at the house. That
Yes. I hear there are some maintenance issues back at the hotel, so I should probably go over there and inspect the
commandment. The Sunday is hallowed day. Keep it holy. But to each his own. I'm not judging. I'm not God.
No, I'm sure in this instance God won't mind. I've been left in charge just for this week, so.
I was wondering why Hubert wasn't around here. Well, take care, y'all, and Mike, I hope to see you again.
Thank you. I head out at a respectfully speedy distance. You know, at a nice fast but respectful pace that says, I'm leaving, I'm getting the hell out of here, but I'm being nice about it. And I get out the door.
Penelope catches up with him. Do you mind telling me what you think you're doing?
Heading home from church.
No, I mean the whole thing. You never go to church. Why did you come in like that?
Look, if there's a leaky faucet, I'm happy to have Bill take care of it and not have to trouble you. But when there are floorboards ripped up in bathrooms, when there is hollowed out areas under those floorboards that looks like a small room, when there's a smell that looks like several fishermen have just decamped in the room, I feel that I need to find the manager, and when the manager is not to be found, then I have to go find.
Penelope's face goes white as a sheet, and she says, managers and maintenance men can't sort that out. Okay.
No, but you have some very worried guests who would love a little managing right now. There's only so much that my wonderful personality can actually
do. Sure. Because a manager knows what to do with a thing in the floorboards. Is that it? You think I'm some kind of expert with this kind of thing?
Okay, let's just back up to the interesting word in that sentence. Thing.
Well, yeah. I think God might be trying to test me, perhaps. But then
think of more interesting tests. But exactly what do you mean by thing? Are you sending? Did you actually see what caused the wreck in the bathroom?
I look around for a bench to sit on, if there is one. You're on mute.
You're on mute, man.
Free yourself, speak in the tongues.
Finally. Yes, there is a white wooden bench.
Okay. I gesture to the bench and say, perhaps we should sit down for a moment. I thought you may have seen it too. And would have understood why I wanted to stay in church as long as possible.
No, I saw wreckage.
There was more than wreckage, that's for sure.
What did you see?
It was hunched over with its back to me. Twisted and evil, this thing. It was almost black, like pitch or tar, and when I called to it, it turned round. And its face, it had no face. She looks around and realizes she's speaking quite loudly. This thing had no face, but it was looking right at me. I ran for it. I ran to church. I thought only God could save me from this thing. Turns out nobody else knows. or else they would have surely looked terrible like I probably do now.
I take a moment to sort of absorb what's been said, just letting it tick over in my mind.
You really want me to go and tell our guests, oh, everything's gonna be all right?
The alternative being, no, everything's not all right because there's a thing ripping up bathrooms and it has no face. No, I'm going with the it's all right stratagem. I think.
Do you think I'm going mad? Do you think I'm just seeing things? Do you think I'm hallucinating?
You want an honest opinion?
Yeah.
Here's what I know. There's a great big hole in the floorboards of a bathroom. There's a whole hollowed out section in the floorboards, under those floorboards. Now, I don't know what you saw. Maybe it was some damned Halloween prank. Or maybe it was something else. But do I think you're crazy? No. I think you saw something.
But there must be a rational explanation.
Oh, trust me, dear. I have long since given up on the idea that everything has a rational explanation.
But, well, what could it have been?
I would suggest if it was as grotesque as you say, that we get someone who can actually deal with grotesques. Now, I'm pretty sure Henry would, given his cologne, but I think maybe the police. You don't have to say anything about thing. Just say that there was some creepy guy. Because if you start saying thing to them, I can assure you that the only thing getting locked up will be you.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Maybe I just had things on my mind. No face. He must have had a face. Maybe I just didn't see it. Maybe it was too dark.
It's more than possible. It was dark. There was all that fog.
You're right. Let's get the police, but we need to keep it low profile because I don't want those two lovebirds to panic over anything and their dog yapping all the time.
Well,
I hate yappy dogs.
Listen. You've been talking to the sheriff for months about a free meal. Tell him it's the perfect day. It's a nice day. Invite him over for him and the family for a free lunch. Hopefully he's not on the menu.
What?
The gallows humor. Free lunch, and that means that he's there. They're not going to distract the guests because there's a reason for him being there that has nothing to do with his job.
Sure. And we could also make out that this has just happened out of the blue, and the reason why I went out was to get the police, perhaps?
That's a solid plan.
Okay. Right, well, I suppose I better give the sheriff a call.
So by this,
he won't be out.
by this time, you guys have, picked yourself up off the bench and began walking back towards the house. And sure enough, you...
I was going to say, this being a standard little town, would the sheriff have been at church?
Yes.
Bingo.
But what I assumed was he would have been back at the house now.
Yeah, but
Finished.
from what John was saying, they weren't in any great hurry to leave, and we left rather smartly.
Okay.
Might still be there because
And
we're not that far away.
And you can call the house where they're at too. You guys can go back there, or you can give a call and ask to speak to the sheriff. Either way.
Suppose it depends if I saw the sheriff at church or not. I'll probably be too wound up with what I'd seen before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be on your mind, but you know that he regularly does attend, unless there's a reason for him not to. He's there.
Okay.
Also, if we're going with your story that you want to get the sheriff, it will add credence if you come back with him.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm planning to do.
Oh, here we go. Church
So are you
one day.
So are you both going to the potluck, or just Penelope?
Well, it's going to look odd if I suddenly don't go.
Okay.
You know, having turned up and all the rest of it, we may as well keep up this idea that we're indoctrinating poor Mike.
Indeed, and you're welcomed quite warmly. Ah, Mike, I thought you might change your mind.
What can I say? I just can't say no to a good licking.
Hey, when God calls you, you answer. You know.
That's right.
God.
Now the door will be open.
Finally, talk some sense into him, Penelope.
Well, you know, I try my best. Speaking of knocking, is the sheriff around?
Oh yeah, he's right over there.
Fantastic.
Well, I am going to have some of the wonderful victuals here. If you wish to talk to our esteemed officer.
You go over. The sheriff isn't a particularly big man, but he does have a particularly big belly, and he's got 3 pieces of 3 different pies in front of him, and an empty plate from his meal that he'd already finished by the time that you walk up. Oh, Miss Thorpe. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, Sheriff. Would it be at all possible, sorry to interrupt you during your meal, but would you be able to perhaps have a little chat to me in private about something quite urgent?
Yes, of course. He says, he stands up and he sort of grabs one of his pieces of pie. But you don't mind, do you?
Oh no, not at all.
So he eats it as you sort of walk along, out of earshot from everyone else. Is everything okay?
Well, something has happened at the Winthrop house. Something very, very odd. And I'm contemplating getting the police involved. We think there may be perhaps a vandal or convict, perhaps. But I came downstairs this morning before heading off to church, and all the floorboards in the bathroom have been ripped up, and there was a horrible stench. Sorry, I won't go into details. There was a horrible stench, and I'm sure I could see somebody below the floor. And I didn't really know what to do. I wasn't sure if I was going mad or something. But it turns out that our barkeep came to find me having seen exactly the same thing when he went to investigate separately.
Huh. Well, yeah, I suppose I could take a look. Do you have any unsavory guests at the moment, perhaps? Do you have any suspects?
Well, not that I know of. We have a couple, a newlywed couple staying at the moment with their dog. We have a man who has been traveling a lot lately, so he's probably very tired. Arthur was around, but I'm assuming that's not him, or else I would have recognized him.
Yes.
Well,
Well, sure. I'll. Yeah. Let's head that way. You and Mike want a lift?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. And you look over and you see Mike, handsome Mike, very, very athletic and fit Mike is sitting there surrounded by all the young, not that there's that many, but he's sitting there surrounded by all the young, fresh-faced Christian girls who are sort of drooling over him, hanging on his every word.
And of course, it's really interesting. The fermentation of hops and barley. It's just going along with the idea of hanging on to my words. I'll say anything, and I'll just be like, I feel like the fans in Happy Days.
Tell us about the championship that you won.
Well, what can I say? I was in the best shape of my life. I just knew when I dived in there, no man was going to beat me. Not unless I. But I got to turn the messages off here and I lose my train of thought. But it was a close race. It was a very close race, but I just knew I was going to win. I had faith.
There's a collective sigh. Much like kind of daydreamy. And at that point you notice that Penelope and the sheriff are looking at you. They're standing there as if they're ready to go.
Excuse me, ladies. It has been truly enlightening speaking with you, but I'm afraid duty calls.
Wait, Mike! One of the girls who you know to be named Melanie sort of stops you. If you ever come to church again, we can walk there together if you want. I mean, if you want.
Penelope butts in and says, "Yes, that would be lovely, but I'm afraid he has to come back to the hotel."
What can I say? Duty calls on this most illustrious day.
Okay, well, I'll see you later anyway, she says as she sort of lightly touches your wrist.
You no doubt will. Walk off, saying to myself, you know, if I only swung that way. But obviously not saying that out loud. The last thing I want to do is top that bombshell in the middle of a church cookout.
In 1963.
1963. Church cookout, not the place to drop that one.
No.
So So back to the hotel, Quentin. You've been well, not really tasked with, but you're good at doing your job, and so you after finishing your meal, you begin to clean up this water, which is on the floor because no one else probably will, especially.
I'll probably be sort of leant down, with like a sort of scrubbing brush and a bucket, and I'll be sort of whistling away as I'm scrubbing the deck, so to speak.
That's in fact pretty haunting with the just the way the sound comes over the Google Hangouts. Anyway, so you're whistling your merry tune and sort of sopping this water up and wringing it out outside. And on one of these trips, you see the sheriff's car or truck, I should say, come rolling up with Penelope and Mike inside.
I'll just be sort of like emptying the bucket out of, ready to go and get some clean water. So as you said, I've been sort of wringing my rag out into the bucket, and I'll just be sort of tipping it out as they come up, and I say, good morning, Miss Thorpe. I've cleaned up that spillage on the second floor.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. Thank you very much. The sheriff has come to take a look just to make sure everything is all right.
Oh yeah, everything's been quite quiet here. Mr. Bill turned up to have a look at some of the door that needs repairing and the floorboards, and I've pretty much let him get on with his business, and I've just been cleaning up the leak. I couldn't really see where it was coming from, but I thought, idle hands and all that. I thought it best to see to and get it cleaned up, before all the gas started getting up.
Yes, quite right, quite right. This way, Sheriff, if you don't mind.
Yes. He goes in, and I assume you take him to the room.
Mm-hmm.
I'll follow them in, sort of walking on with a big smile on my face, because it's like, after they were like, oh yes, well done for cleaning that, I'm like, yeah. Walking with a big smile on my face.
Congratulations, you cleaned the floor.
That's right.
The sheriff sort of gets down on his hands and knees, sticks his head down in the gaping hole and looks around. Did you guys have something buried down here?
Well, I assume not.
Looks like someone had it for something. It doesn't look like it's been used for a long time, though. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe someone at some point had a lot of money or something of value down there. Then maybe their relative or a bandit, or maybe even they came back to look for it. I don't understand what sort of tool they used to rip up these floorboards, though. It doesn't seem to be very efficient.
Well, come to think of it, if it's money, there was one guest, the one I said who had traveled a lot. What his name was. He, not to sound like I was prying, but he seemed to have a lot of money. As he opened up his wallet, he had a lot of dollar bills in there. He seemed perfectly happy to pay for the room with quite big bills.
I'll shout up from the back and say, Mr. Bill said he thought the door looked like it had been damaged by a bear or something.
And by this point, the door has already been like Bill said, you'll probably need a new door, but at least for the time being, it's back on its hinges and functioning again. The sheriff goes and looks at it and sees that one of the hinges is different. The heck?
Yes, Sheriff. Mr. Bill said that it had been torn clean off its hinges, and he thought something like a bear might have done it.
Interesting. Well, is that Remus character still around here? Maybe we should have a few words with him.
Well, he said he might only stay for a night. You haven't seen him at all, have you, Quentin?
No, I've not seen him this morning, Miss Thorpe.
Well, I can always show you to his room if you like.
Sure.
Room 12 it was, I believe. I gave him room 12.
All right. You can stay back here. I'll go have a word with him, he says. And you guys did notice his car as you were pulling up. It's still there.
Thank you. And please don't mention what I said about the money. I don't want him to...
no. Not at all. That's why it'd probably be best if I just went over by myself. It would be a little bit less intimidating, you know.
Thank you.
Don't want to make anyone the bad guy here. And he sort of makes his way down the hall. And as he does, you hear a woman's voice, the wife. You hear her coming from the direction of the ocean, sort of calling up towards the house. Lawrence! Lawrence! And you sort of see her walking up quite briskly with her dog under her arm. Lawrence!
What does she want with him now?
Did you want me to go and ask Miss Thorpe?
No. I'll have a little look myself. Have a bit of fresh air.
Lawrence, this is not funny.
Is everything all right?
It's just my husband. He's playing some sort of stupid joke or something.
What else do you mean?
Well, we went for a walk this morning, and then when we went down on the beach, he ran in the fog and attempted to scare me by shouting out at me, and then he just stopped. And he's done this sort of thing before where he tries to freak me out all for a good laugh, but I've been looking for him for nearly 2 hours now, and I haven't been able to find him.
Perhaps
he's probably back up at the hotel.
Yeah, perhaps he couldn't find you and made it back to his room, but I have been out all morning, so I'm not sure if he's there, I'm afraid.
And you could hear this is within earshot of Quentin, and Quentin knows. Well, according to Bill, Quentin arose just after, or when Quentin arose was just after the couple left, and you have not seen anyone return, Quentin, in that time.
I'll having heard that, I'll sort of head over to where Miss Thorpe is and sort of tap her gently on the arm and say, I've not seen the gentleman come back, and I've been here cleaning up since they went out, Miss Thorpe.
I see.
I'd have noticed if he'd come back.
Okay. Little Quentin here was just saying, Miss, that your husband isn't back yet. I'm wondering if he got lost in the fog somewhere.
I suppose. I mean, it's just a coastline. You just walk up or down. I'm not sure how you could really get lost, but.
Well, it's very easy to miss the little secluded spots, Miss. If you're not acquainted with the area, it can be quite deceptive like that. Would you like me to have a walk up and down? I grew up hereabouts. I know all the little inlets and all the little places. I can see if I can have a look for him for you, Miss.
If you could, yes.
That'd be very helpful for you, Quentin. Thank you.
Well, I'll head off and do that now, Miss.
Well, I'm going back to the beach too. He probably must have tripped and twisted his ankle or something, because he was shouting out through the fog. But as soon as the fog rolled out to sea, that's when he disappeared.
Well, I'll come with you, miss, and we'll both have a look for him together.
Okay. And so you guys go to search for the husband. And that is where we will conclude this session.
Oh, I was just about to run back to Mike and be like, oh my god, someone's gone missing! Shit!
He'll be too busy hanging out